Good morning, class. Welcome back to our Media Academy class. So for today's topic, we are going to talk about rule of thirds. So do you have any ideas what is a rule of thirds? In this discussion, I am going to explain to you what is rule of thirds and why rule of thirds is important. In our next slide, as you can see here, there are grids. So are you guys familiar with this picture? Where do you usually see this? Well, actually, it looks familiar because you see this always in our cell phone, in our camera. For example, I have here. This is my camera. Let us see. I don't know if you can pick up, but there are grids here. You can see the grids when you open the camera of your phone. And then, why do you think we need to learn how to use the rule of thirds? Simply because rule of thirds is also known as the golden ratio or the golden grid rule. It is a technique where composition is aligned to a 3 by 3 grid. Okay, by dividing a composition into 3 grids, we section it into 9 imaginary rectangles with 4 intersections. As you can see here, this has 3 grids, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. That's why it is called 3 by 3. And we section it with imaginary rectangles. As you can count, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and it has 4 intersection lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. So why is it called intersection? Because they meet each other. The lines meet each other. That's why it is called the 4 intersection lines. And with these 4 intersection lines that meet each other are called the intersecting points. As you can see the red dots here, where the 2 lines meets, it is called the intersecting points. Okay, as we go on, we will learn what is the intersecting points. Why is this important? As you can see in our next slide, this is how our eyes scans according to the rule of thirds. These are the areas that most people focus on first the most. Therefore, it is the significant pieces of the image are often placed here in these intersecting points. For example, you know, actually we people scan images in an F shape like this. It's like an F shape, right? First, we look at the top left spot and gradually move down to the bottom left corner, and then to the top right one. And lastly, we give the least attention to the bottom right spot. That's why it has this percentage. This is the visual distribution of our eyes on how we look at an image or any visuals. Okay, that's why it is important you learn about this intersecting points. Okay, for our next slide. As you can see here, I already have a subject and the focus of the subject is aligned at one of the intersecting points or close to them. As you can see here, the points where the vertical line and the horizontal line meet, where a focal point should be. Okay, so the 4 points where the lines intersect are the strongest focal points. These are the 4 intersecting points. And the line itself are the second strongest focal points. Okay, this is to make your image to look more balanced and interesting. Okay, that's why it is important we have to use our rule of thirds and to know about the intersect points and the importance of this. Okay. I also have another example. So what can you see in this example is two different, it has the same picture. One that follows the rule of third and the one that's not. So can you say which one has the better picture in these two? Of course, the second one. Why? Because it uses the rule of thirds. As you can see, this image has a dog portrait. The first picture, it is centered in the frame. So that's why in the second picture, we move the subject, the focus subject, to the right intersection to create a more interesting image. It looks more balanced. It feels like the image has a stronger image, more dynamic, meaning it creates more communication between the image and the viewer. Okay. Next, we also have another example here. So let us look in this cityscape image. The image itself is well composed, as you can see. So to implement the rule of thirds in this image, we can shift the tallest building. As you can see, this is the tallest building in the picture to the left intersection. This creates a better focus. If you want to create more focus on the subject, use the rule of thirds. Okay. As you can see here, tell me which one has the better image. Of course, the second example, because it uses the rule of thirds. Another example we have here is these examples. As you can see here, any subject you have, you can actually use rule of thirds. Using the rule of thirds, it helps draw the viewer's eyes to the point of interest, which is your main subject. The first picture, the main subject here is the couple. That's why we line them with one of the intersecting points to create a more focused and more interesting picture. Same as the second image we have here. It creates a more dynamic and more interesting picture. Same as the third and the fourth one. And also, as you can see here, it creates balance to the background and your main subject. So now we can now conclude that rule of thirds is actually easy to follow if you know how the basics on how to use it. Okay, it creates number two, it creates a visual interest, and third one is it makes a composition more pleasing and more balanced to your viewers. So don't forget, the next time you want to enhance your photography skills, you can actually use this rule of thirds to enhance your picture, to make it more look interesting, it to look more balanced. And if you want to focus on main subject, your focal point, use the rule of thirds. And don't forget about the four focal points to create focus on your image and to create also a background separation to your main subject and your background. Okay, now we learned the rule of thirds for today's lesson. Thank you so much for listening for our class today. Thank you.